Coming up on today's show, we're going to explore the idea of Denver possibly being a trade destination for Quinnen Williams, as the Jets' star defensive tackle is a bit disgruntled out in New Jersey. Also, could Denver be interested in signing Dalvin Cook if Minnesota ends up releasing him? So all that coming up and more. Make sure to like the video if you love the Broncos or if you just want to help juice the channel a little bit. Now, let's start things off by talking about Quinnen Williams. So, trade rumors have picked up following the stalling in his contract negotiations with the Jets, where he wants to be the number one paid defensive tackle, and the Jets are maybe not quite all the way there on that. Now, he is entering the 5th year of his rookie contract. He was the 3rd overall pick in 2019. I don't think many people remember that. Now, last year, he was the 4th best interior defensive lineman as far as PFF goes, ranking out of 127 qualifying players. Now, here's where the tea starts, right? The drama, if you will. Quinnen Williams on social media, because that's how these things work these days, for his Twitter bio, put defensive tackle for ... So, he is asking for someone else to fill in the blank, aka someone to give him $20 million, and could Denver be that team? Now, we're going to explore that idea, but the drama does not just stop there, though. He also retweeted an Adam Schefter tweet about where he thinks he should finish or where he wants to be in terms of the pecking order, with some other big fellas getting some decent contracts this offseason, like Javon Hargrave and some other notable interior defensive linemen. Now, Quinnen Williams, he had a good year last year, to put it lightly. 12 sacks, 28 QB hits, 55 tackles. He's always been good for the Jets, but last year he really showed why he was the 3rd overall pick in the draft. He looked like a true franchise legend, a cornerstone piece of this defense for years to come. Now, there are some hiccups, if you will, when it comes to trading for Quinnen Williams. Is he a super-duper good player that you'd love to have on your team? Yes. Do the Broncos have $100 million to give out, which likely they'd have to get him? Probably not, right? If you look at Denver's cap hits for 2024, because that contract extension really wouldn't kick in until then anyway, they're already giving out a lot of money. Russell Wilson's got a $38 million cap hit. Garrett Bowles, $20 million. Zach Allen, $19 million. Mike McGlinchey, $18.5. Justin Simmons, $18.2. In fact, Denver for 2024 right now is $39 million in the red. So they have to make up some money before they can really start thinking about giving out 5-year, $100+ million contract, 4-year, $100 million, whatever Quinnen Williams is going to end up getting. But it's likely going to be in the range of about $20+ million a season. Now, Denver could cut some ties, right? If you look at some of the big cap hits for 2024, Garrett Bowles is making $20 million, at least the cap hit wise. Cortland Sutton, $17.3. Tim Patrick, $13 million. Randy Gregory, $16.1. DJ Jones, $12.9. So, Denver likely is going to move on from at least 2 of these players before 2024. They're not going to have, I'm going to put it this way. These 5 players will not be on Denver's book for all this much money in 2024. Whether that means a restructure, a pay cut, an outright release, or a trade, there's just no way Denver goes into 2024 with these 5 players set to make all that money that season. Now, there's another issue, and that is they have to keep some money in the bank to pay a guy named Pat Surtain. Now, when you look at the highest paid corners in the NFL, Pat Surtain's going to be the number 1 highest paid corner. Like, he's just going to get more money than Jair Alexander and Denzel Ward got last season. So, if Jair Alexander got a 5-year, $100.5 million contract, Pat Surtain's going to get a 5-year, and it will start at $101 million. So, not only do they have to find money for their star cornerback who can get a contract extension after next season, but they also now have to find room for Quinnen Williams. Like, to me, I just don't see a way they can carve out enough money to give Pat Surtain $100+ million and Quinnen Williams. Oh, and by the way, you have to trade for Williams. Now, what could a trade look like? If I had to give my best shot at it, and it's tough to come up with trades for these star players because they command a lot, I think it's a 1st and a 3rd, honestly, you're definitely giving up a first for Quinnen Williams. Now, maybe you get like a late day 3 pick back in the future, but a first and a third for Quinnen Williams, I don't think Jets fans would be all that excited about getting. I'm sure they'd rather have Quinnen Williams. So when it all comes down to this, do the Broncos, are they really a $100 million defensive tackle and no first, second, or third round pick away from winning a Super Bowl? Because in this hypothetical world, you lost your first for Quinnen Williams, you lost your second for Sean Payton, and then you lost your third despite trading a third away for Riley Moss. So to get Riley Moss, you trade your other third round pick away to get Quinnen Williams. So does Denver really want to wait until pick round number 4 to make their first pick? Probably not. Now, if it meant they won a Super Bowl, sure, they'd be happy to do it. It worked out for the Rams. But they are not the Rams. They are more than just Quinnen Williams away from hoisting the Lombardi again at Mile High. So I'll let you guys weigh in here. Would you do this trade? Simple yes or no. Quinnen Williams is a great player. I'd love to see him for Denver, on Denver's team, but I think they are more than just Quinnen Williams away from making a postseason run, because while Quinnen Williams was great for the Jets last year, he couldn't wield them to the playoffs, so it requires more than just that. Now, before we get to the Dalvin Cook segment of today's show, we've got a great deal going on at Fanatics still. The 2-shirt combo is still on sale, but these deals do not last forever. I know that sounds a bit cliche, but that is the truth. So don't miss out. You got to use our exclusive link, though. chatsports.com/DEN combo. I put that link in the comments and the description of today's video. Now, let's talk about Dalvin Cook potentially reuniting with his old front office man, George Paton. Now, rumors are hotter than ever regarding Dalvin Cook's future in Minnesota. He's coming off a career-low season in terms of average, 4.4. And then there's this. Speaking of more Twitter drama, the Vikings thought they could sneak one past us. They took Dalvin Cook out of their Twitter header. So what does that mean? Does it mean that they don't see him long term? Are they playing games with us? I don't know. It's one of the dumbest new areas of sports media where we dive into Twitter to actually come away with tangible takeaways. But that's the landscape of sports media in 2023. I do believe the Vikings will move on from Dalvin Cook this offseason. His cap hit this year is $14 million. You don't pay a guy $14 million when he's coming off a career low season and he's getting up in the age column. They are likely waiting until after June 1st to make the release. And until June 1st, they are going to continue exploring trade options, but I don't think they're getting many calls because teams are just going to wait till June 2nd to pick up Dalvin Cook. Now, if they move on from him after June 1st, they could have $9 million in cap savings, so you can see why it makes sense for the folks up in Minneapolis. Now, Cook, over the last 4 seasons, he has still been a pretty good running back. Like, we're not talking about a guy who put up just 600 yards last year. If a bad year for Dalvin Cook is 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns, I wouldn't mind that version as the RB2 or RB3 on Denver's offense until Javonte Williams returns. So you make the call for me. Would you add Dalvin Cook? S for sign, P for pass. Let me know what your thoughts are when it comes to adding the former Florida State Seminole to this Broncos roster. For me, it really comes down to Javonte Williams' health. Sean Payton offered a good glimmer of hope, saying he expects Javonte Williams to be back by training camp, but he also then said a couple sentences later, there is the PUP list. So if Javonte Williams is not healthy, as I don't really expect him to be as soon as July, maybe Denver decides, you know what, sorry Tony Jones and Demaria Crockett and Tyler Beatty, we're going to go with Samaje Perine and Dalvin Cook to lead this ground game until Javonte Williams can return. Because after watching last season, I have my doubts on Sean Payton asking Russell Wilson to stand in the pocket and throw the football 35, 40 times a game. Now that's going to do it for us on today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in and making us a part of your day. If you enjoyed today's video and you made it this far in the video, we must be doing something right. So subscribe if you have not already, and we'll see everyone later.